Hello and welcome to this review of my Akko Gear Mu01 Mountain Seclusion keyboard. This was a donation from Akko Gear, who later also sent in the Year of the Dragon keyboard, which is up for a review a little bit further down the line. They asked me to review this and I gladly accepted because this is quite a stunner in my opinion. So let's start with the looks first, because that's obviously one of its two big draws. The keycaps are dye-sublimed PBT, which is the only way to get detailed printing like this really, but it's also a very nice, durable way of printing legends in general, so that's good. It's called Mountain Seclusion because that's clearly the theme they were going for. It's a very Asian themed print with what I'm assuming is Chinese lettering all over the keyboard, including sub-legends for each keycap, which is cool. Other than that, there are things like little houses, birds, mountains, bamboo, and a smattering of other stuff in a pleasant four-tone beige and brown color scheme. I like it a lot, to be honest. The other big draw is that the case is made out of wood, and not just some MDF with a veneer or anything. This is solid walnut, which gives it this gorgeous deep brown color that fits the caps beautifully. Side note, the camera is actually very bad at capturing how nice this wood looks. It also gives the keyboard some reasonable heft at slightly over 900 grams, or in imperial units, about 12 to 1 bison dingleberries, which is not bad for such a small keyboard. One thing to keep in mind is that while wood is a very beautiful construction material and pretty sturdy from a mechanical standpoint, it isn't as cosmetically bomb-proof as metal or arguably even plastic. For example, I must have dinged it against something here, I suspect another keyboard, and that's made a tiny gash in the case here. This shot is highly zoomed in, it's only about 2 or so millimeters in truth, which is not terrible or anything, but I thought it'd be good to point that out. So while it's not going to break anytime soon, you may still want to be careful with it if you want to keep the looks pristine. It comes with its own wood wax as well. I deliberately didn't wax the top yet so I could show you the visual difference, as I did do the back. Basically, visually it doesn't do anything for it, but it helps condition the wood, and it also helps disguise scratches, etc. Now, they give you this whole pot, which kind of belies the tiny amount you need to polish a case like this. So this amount should be enough for decades easily. To further enhance the theme, they added a bunch of brass, or at least brass-colored, accents. This bar at the top here, as well as the plate underneath, and the USB port, which goes very well with the brown and wood theme here, I reckon. Overall, a very tasteful look in my opinion, though obviously it's visually a little bit cluttered on the keycaps, and they're not as easy to read as on some other keyboards. But that's just a trade-off, of course. At least they did put the legends in the top left where they belong. The back of the keyboard normally comes with a transparent sticker, which I of course immediately tore off because it's fucking hideous! And there are some rubber feet at the bottom as well to prevent slipping and help keep the bottom of the board scratch free. It's not adjustable in any way, of course, as is the case with the vast majority of non-plastic housings. The switches are called Akko Rosewood, and they were specifically designed for this model. Kind of weird they didn't call it walnut switches then. And they're basically just standard, cheap 4mm light linear MX clone switches. Pre-lubed, 30 to 50 grams, yada yada yada, you get the point. They're okay on the smoothness front. I reckon they used a fairly loose hold to achieve it. And they're advertised as being low pitched because they're made out of nylon. Now, they probably could have done better on the smoothness front if they'd used a different material, or Hall effect for that matter, but I can see how they're going for sound here. This is a rather extraordinary keyboard, of course, after all. Obviously, the wooden case is going to do something to the sound as well. Wood is an interesting material for keyboards acoustically. Personally, I really like the sound that wood tends to give off, though it depends a bit on the type of wood and especially on how dense you make it. Unlike the wooden case that I made for one of my own vintage boards, this is a much more solid chassis, for example, with little room inside, though as far as I can tell, it also doesn't have any foam in it. Overall, an interesting sound. Listen to the typing demo for a clearer example. Honestly, in general, I like what this keyboard brings to the table, and it's nice that they do them in ISO as well, like this one, which was German UK with caps for both. I'd have liked it to be a bit bigger personally, as 60% is really too Spartan for my taste, but that's just my opinion, of course. Though I'd love to see a full-size version of this. The biggest issue I have with the keyboard isn't actually the size though, it's the keycap profile. It's called MOA, maybe because the keycap size is so steep that they're only a single minute of angle or something, because they taper very sharply to the top and in all directions no less, as they're spherically topped. And this is a bit of a problem for typing, because this means that the keycap edges are very close to each other, and that makes it extremely easy to make typing mistakes on this thing. You know, it's easy to not press a key dead center, and in that case it means you'll often hit two keys at once. I get that it's an aesthetic thing, and it does look nice admittedly, but I do feel like this also handicaps you a bit. Oh yeah, and it's got RGB as well. Now, I'm gonna guess they mostly did it to tick it off the list, because otherwise a certain type of people would start to complain, but personally I don't think the keyboard needs it at all, and as the keycaps aren't transparent and the tops are so close to each other, you can barely see it anyway. And even the switches aren't transparent or have light pipes or whatever, so it really feels like an afterthought. The only reason for this that I can think of is for people who want to put transparent switches and keycaps on it and really only want this for the wooden housing, which seems like a very small use case. The price is a bit of a mystery depending on where you are. It seems to vary heavily. I asked the contact at Akko why the apparent price in the EU is about 50% higher than it is in the US, which is apparently due to it including VAT over here, which is not normally done in the US, but we don't have a 50% VAT bracket here, so I'm not sure what the hell is going on, and frankly they couldn't shed any credible light on this either. In any case, I've included the buy link in the description as well as a discount code. I don't get kickbacks from it, of course, but I figured it might help those of you looking to buy this. One warning though, if you fill in your email address in the purchase page, even if you don't sign up for emails or actually complete the purchase, Akko will immediately spam you to absolute death with emails. I tried this just before I finalized this script and I got 4 mails in just a few hours. So be warned. Overall, it's a nice keyboard. Great look, very stylish, nice cohesive theme, well made, I like it. Maybe not to type on though, as I mentioned I'd have preferred it bigger myself, but I guess you can't have everything. Although saying that, now that I think about it, this would be an excellent opportunity for Akko to make it the world's first commercial modern wooden battleship keyboard. Hint hint. That's it for this review. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and following is a typing demonstration of me typing on this keyboard.